We are finally here, back to the series finale of the Power Rangers and TMNT crossover. If you are lost in any way, go check out my previous videos. Link will be in the description. Now, let's get into it because the Power Rangers are battling in their mutant forms and the TMNT, well, they are in hell with the Shredder on a mission to infiltrate the base that was formerly his, the Teletram. They were in Dimension X, a post-apocalyptic world conquered by the Crang. This could be their potential future, but the Shredder was never going to let that happen because Earth was his to rule and no one else's. Even when Raph asked him, why do you want to rule the Earth? Do you want to rule it for their love? He said, no, I want to rule it for their fear. I want them to build statues in my name because I am a Rokusaki. Such a boss thing to say. But regardless, they finally found the Teletram, and now they had to find their way in. Thankfully, they were with the Shredder. This was his home. Getting in was easy. And the Rangers, well, with the help of Master Splinter, they had finally started to fight like he knew they could fight. He had to remind them, you are no longer humans. You are mutants. Use your ability. Let your animal instincts run wild. You are beast, so be beasts. Even Tommy in his dragon form was strong enough to solo Leatherhead, telling Leatherhead to join his side on no defeat. Leatherhead simply picked up a truck and tossed it at him, and he said, okay, be like that. And Kimberly just took him and flew him away like a toy. Master Splinter was proud. This is who you are. Back at the Rangers' captured base, we see Rita commanding her forces from that location. Bebop and Rocksteady had captured some best friends of the Rangers, Scully and Bulk. Rita was disappointed, but this was a good catch, so she said, go torture these boys and bring me any information you find. Thankfully, Bulk was good on his feet. He made sure to make Bebop and Rocksteady feel like they were undervalued, promising to make them superstars. And they fell for it because they are stupid. But while that was going on, Rita and Krang, well, they were taking over the world. And Krang had something planned, especially because now he had access to the Megazords. So she asked, what do we do with Casey? And Krang said, dispose of him. He has outlived his usefulness. And she said, agreed. Later that day, her and Casey were discussing plans for the future, and Casey realized that she was planning a full-on global invasion, and she was going to kill everybody. But not just that, she also made it obvious that she knew he was a spy. Casey got into action mode. He wanted to take her out quickly, but this was Rita Repulsa. She had the moves. With one flick of her wrist, she tossed him to the wall, rendering him powerless. She had access to the morphing grid, which meant he was a toy for her to play with, and she let him know. Through pain. Thankfully, the Turtles had gained access to the Technodrome, and they were going crazy in it, allowing Shredder and Donatello find out more about where the node is so they can bring the morphing grid back online. But Michelangelo made a discovery. This was Dimension X, which meant the Dimension X had their own Power Rangers. Krang had conquered this world, meaning he took them all out. That is how he knew the technology to give Shredder the ability to take Power Rangers' abilities. But it also meant there were 4 morphers here. Inactive, but they were still here. Making sure to check the cells below, Shredder found Karai. Apparently, her and Tommy were kidnapped and given the choice to become Rangers, but she chose loyalty, and Shredder commanded she be released. But Donatello didn't want to, and she made sure to clarify, yeah, you're going to need my help. There is an army here to take you out. And there really was, because this was a trap. They expected them to come here, and they were not going to leave, even with the help of Shredder and Karai. They were about to lose. These were not mod men. These were top-of-the-line monsters. They were about to fall. And just like that, the morphers gained activity. Just like that, every turtle had a morpher in their hand. And just like that, with a powerful scream, Power Up Extreme, they transformed into the Power Rangers of Dimension X. And they looked good. Not just good. They had the power to back it up, because their weapons were now extreme versions, meaning they did more damage. And Raphael was having fun. While Buck and Skull, They were just trying to stay alive. Actually having an interview with Rocksteady and Bebop as they promised to butcher every single human they came across. This was scary, just like having an interview with the Joker. Jesus. The Mutant Rangers, on the other hand, had had tremendous success. Their battle was done. But that is not the formula. After the small battle comes the Megazord battle, and this Megazord was controlled by Crang. This is how it felt, seeing death in your eyes. While the Power Rangers fought a Megazord without any Megazords, the Turtles came back, and what they met was their homeboy, possessed by a space witch. Rita simply said, "Ooh, look who's back. Casey, do you mind killing them for me?" And he said, "Yes, my queen," launching an attack on his brothers. All Extreme Power Rangers attacking at the same time. Rita was entertained. There was a war being fought on two fronts. The Power Rangers tried their best to face this Megazord while facing an army of mudmen. The only person that could be of help was currently a freaking dragon, so he couldn't play the flute. But thankfully, Orokusaki was there. And he had a shadow morpher, so instantly he morphed into the Green Ranger, and he looked good, letting Tommy know that he was foolish to ever have demorphed. He should be permanently morphed before calling his Megazord and going into battle against Crang. And he was going to have help, because from the corner of everyone's eye, they see a Megazord of Metalhead with the consciousness of Zordon, driven by Alpha 5, ready to do battle. But the thing is, Crang has more experience driving a freaking robot. He was ready to kill them, right there, right then. And Shredder, well, he was a good martial artist, but he wasn't a great pilot. Things were not looking great, especially with Rita, because she was beating the hell out of the Turtles. She was a witch, but she was still Rita Repulsa. And Michelangelo was still Michelangelo because he managed to give her a stupid punch, reminding her, "You're just a man." Casey, on the other hand, was fighting both turtles at the same time. When Rita finally said, "Enough. If I can control one Ranger, I can control you all," putting all the turtles in her grasp and making them feel excruciating pain, making Raphael hover in front of Casey and commanding Casey to destroy his own best friend. Raphael just said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it, brother. I know it's not you. You're under control. And for sure, this is not a bad way to go." But Casey could have hurt his brother. No way. Breaking free from Rita's control, he snapped his death sight and then clocking Rita, knocking her out for good. The Turtles had their Casey back. But outside, the Rangers were not having a good time. Shredder and Zordon were losing to Crang. Matter of fact, they were about to die to Crang. But the Rangers, yeah, they were mutants. Using their mutant abilities, they cracked Krang's enclosure and made sure to torture his life. Tommy was a literal dragon. He roasted Crang alive, while Master Shredder and Zordon decided to fuse Megazords. And with that, they were done. They beat Crang to a crisp, tore him limb from limb. He was done, and the mission and the day was saved. The Mutant Rangers helped destroy all the Mudmen, while the Masters imprisoned Crang and Rita in a cosmic garbage can, throwing them deep into space. Shredder making sure they all knew, today you could have this win, but tomorrow we do battle, because Earth will be mine. The next day we see that the Turtles now had cloaking tech down to a science, so they could go out, they could hang out, they could get food, and they could hang out with their Power Rangers friends, who were all missing their mutant abilities. But the day was won. All was right in the world. Casey, to atone for everything he did, decided to go to Dimension X and have his own adventure, and April O'Neil followed suit, wielding the yellow Extreme Ranger suit. God, I hope we get a story about that. But now that Rita was gone, someone had to be king. And you would think he was going to be Orokusaki, but no, all he wanted was access. And now he had it. Now his true partner was revealed. His true partner being Lord Zed himself.